I'm not practicing karate in my attic. We are here for the glorified version of a bass fishing talk show. I'm your host, Pat Renwick. Give it up for yourself, Bass Galaxy. It's Wednesday night. Hello, hello. It's good to see you. Good to see you. And of course, again, returning triumphantly, the one and only Ryan Popcorn Whitaker. Yes, sir. It's Ryan. He skateboards. That's why we got a skateboard up there behind him. And he plays drums. That's why there's a whole drum kit downstairs. And he bass fishes. He's a guide and a lure company owner. It's Ryan Popcorn Whitaker. Welcome back, Ryan.
Thanks, man. Those are things.
You do lots of stuff. You wear lots of caps. No cap.
No cap.
No cap. No cap, Ryan.
That's us.
Hey, and on the old chat board, it's the one and only Rock and Shoal Fantasy, J.R. Ewing. That's right. Chat along with J.R. He's in Alabama. Chat with J.R. in Alabama. And ladies and gentlemen, producing the heck out of this deal. It's Andrew Ellenberger. He's a ginger ninja. He's hides. There he is, Andy in Star Wars motif for cold water bass. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Andrew Ellenberger. Hi, Ginge.
Yeah.
Where are you, Ginge?
I'm right here.
Oh, there you were. I couldn't hear you at first.
It's cold over here. Sorry.
Today. I like the Office one better.
Oh no, this Star Wars one is apropos for cold weather bassin.
I see.
What do you call those? That for the people on the podcast tomorrow, Ginge? What's that? Those giant robot.
Well, some people call them at. Some people call them AT-AT. So it depends what school you're from.
What nerd school of Star Wars?
I call them
I call them AT-ATs.
AT-ATs. Okay, yeah. They're tough to destroy.
Very much so.
What's that animal that was it Luke or Han crawled into? Hackney was talking about it when he was on the show.
Uh-huh. Oh,
what's
the
Wampa?
Wampa?
The Wampa. Yeah. Who hand put Luke in the Wampa? Yeah. Well, basically that's
Tauntaun. Tauntaun.
The Tauntaun. Forgive you.
Tauntaun is what he cut open and stuffed Luke in. Yeah. Sorry.
We just Star Wars'd out for a second.
Sorry. Yeah. Move along.
Yeah. No, but I mean, the point is, it's a perfect cold weather bassin theme, especially in that Empire Strikes Back. That was all about cold weather.
When
bassin.
you guys are done being nerds, can we talk?
We'll do a bass fishing
That's the biggest complaint that we get on the Stray Cat Show. I'm serious, is that we don't talk about enough bass fishing. So guess what, guys?
Oh,
yeah.
You know what we're doing tonight?
No, it's been real.
We're bringing Pat Walters. Give it up, Bass Galaxy. Pat Walters. We're bringing Bob Downey. Yeah, that's right, Bass Galaxy. And we're talking about, we're going full-blown technique, cold weather bassing. I'm talking red mouths, fat bellies. You know those bass, those red mouth fat bellies.
Yeah.
We're talking
tough mouths.
anglers with red eyes and numb hands and feet and frozen guides and real eyes.
Yeah,
That's
mud on the bellies of those fish.
Yeah,
leeches. Yeah,
that's the kind of bassin we're talking about tonight with Pat Walters and Bob Downey. And also we have Polish Pistol Pete from Omnia Fishing coming aboard. He sells lures and buys lures. So we're talking about cold water baits and cold water bass, and how appropriate. That's the one and only Polish Pete coming aboard tonight. Hey, want to remind everybody, not one, but hey, go ahead, bring it. Oh yeah, he takes his whiskey home. It's the one and only. It's the one and only whiskey gypsy. It's Luke Foley.
How you guys doing?
Are you in a hotel room?
No, I'm at the new restaurant here in downtown Indy called Commission Row. It's a beautiful steakhouse, and it's my first night here.
Well, you are always pushing it up somewhere, folks.
It's not a bad life some days.
You're just gypsying all over the planet, and now you're at the new bougiest restaurante in the Indianapolis, Indiana area.
It is.
I like it. And you're sipping on a little tin cup mountain whiskey?
I am.
All right. Hey, folks, so get this. Tonight, not one, but two like and share contests. Okay, first one, of course, giving it up, the Tin Cup Whiskey Fun Box 11 from Luke Foley. That's right, Bass Galaxy. That's from Luke Foley. The second one is from Polish Pete himself, and that is a cold water Polish Pete grab bag. So it's got some of Pete's favorite, some of the cold water baits, of course, Pete's favorites that we're talking about tonight, and it's all going to be in a fancy storage fun pouch. Pete tells me that everybody's going to love it.
I want to win that.
You can win it. You're eligible, folks. You can't win the
Okay,
whiskey because that's from you. I mean the whiskey fun box pouch, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So like and share the live Facebook feed. Your chance for a tin cup whiskey fun box and Omnia fishing cold water baits and storage system.
Yeah, you cannot play if you cannot win.
That's
What?
right. What does that even mean?
What?
Hey, for those that don't know, Luke Foley, did you hear I got all excited there?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Luke Foley comes on this
Voice
show.
is changing.
I know, like Peter Brady, if anybody knows what that is. but Luke Foley comes on this show every week, compliments a Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey, and he brings us the official Tin Cup Whiskey word of the week. And whenever you hear that word, Ryan, you know what to do. What do?
You take a sip.
You take a little sippy. It could be a cafe con leche, or it could be a Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey. Now, Foley, with that being said, and again, please sip responsibly when you take a sip. Foley, with that being said, what is the Tin Cup Whiskey word of the week tonight?
Cold.
Cold.
We're getting great season
Oh
right.
my goodness gracious! So the spirits are going to warm you up tonight. And again, Foley, are you
right.
doing the call them off of work thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you get a little
I'm
bit.
going to call myself in late tomorrow. I think,
Okay.
too.
So again, please drink responsibly if you're going to play along, and if you need some assistance, old Uncle Lukey, the Whiskey Gypsy, he's going to call you off work tomorrow. Just direct message his Instagram page. and you're good.
Absolutely.
I know your
Absolutely.
backlog, Foley. You got a lot of messages that
I
you're
did.
going.
When Zona was on, I had to call a lot of people off the next
Well,
day.
here's the deal. I mean, you got to keep up on that because you can't call them up like a week later. You know what I mean?
You
Won't
can't.
work.
It has to be done between, 7:30 and 9:15 in the morning the next day, or you just missed your window.
Hey,
Maybe we could have them call us off in these fishing seminars.
Speaking of that, hey, well, first I want to get to this. Hey, Bowles, you heard
Yes.
about the custom-made knives over there in Michigan, White River Knives,
I have.
right? Ryan's got the
Uh-huh.
9-inch fillet knife.
That's a
that
big
he's
one.
Does it?
he's probably promoting.
I'm not going to touch that.
That's saluting right there. And this I have
I didn't
the
I didn't think
M1.
Ryan could play with knives.
He's only allowed in the state of Indiana,
I can't.
not in
Okay,
Illinois.
okay.
But I got the M1 capper, and this is the everyday carry. This is a White River custom knife. Go to whiterivernifes.com and check out the wide array of custom knives for you, the outdoorsman, for the angler, for the outdoorsman, and even in the kitchen, folks. Even in the kitchen. White River Knives. Hey, Popcorn, what are you doing over there?
Over here?
Yeah, what are you pontificating over there?
I'm just I was just thinking about how I could get Luke to call off on the seminar.
Well, I'll tell you what.
You want
First
me to
off,
call you off? I'll call you off.
yeah, he'll call Pop. You're your own boss, though, Popcorn. So you're kind of messed up on
That's
that.
true.
Hey, I want to thank Dale Bowman for the amazing article that he did on myself going to the outdoor show in Schaumburg this weekend. So thanks, Dale. That was very kind of you. You made my dad super proud, Dale. Just want to let you know when my dad opened that paper, that was thank you for that,
Awesome.
Dale. Yeah.
Did he call you a stalwart at any point?
No, he didn't. But we did talk about milking walleyes. We did do that.
Sexing saugers.
But hey, of course, read Dale Bowman's column whenever you can, and come see this weekend at the Schaumburg Outdoor Fishing and Travel Show.
It's called the Chicago Fishing Show. It is in Schaumburg.
It's the Chicago Fishing Show at the Schaumburg Convention Center. It starts tomorrow. Matt Robertson is there Saturday and Sunday. You know Matt, right? Don't you, Foles?
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, Matt Robertson will be there. He's on your whiskey team. He'll
Yeah.
be there Saturday and Sunday. You might need to call him off. Also,
I might need to run up there.
Brandon's there Thursday and Friday. Palaniuk, right? Thursday and Friday.
I believe that's right.
Ryan Whitaker and JP High are there every day. And I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday doing speakings.
Sure.
Is that what they call it? Speakings?
Speakings.
I'm doing speakings
Yeah.
at the outdoor show.
You're Thursday, Fridays.
No, I'm Friday, Saturday,
Friday,
Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, but you're there every day with the tightrope fishing booth.
That's true.
There it
Yes,
is.
we'll be there.
Okay. So again, check out. Thanks, Todd Alberto, for everything you do for us. And we'll see everybody in the Chicagoland area at the Schaumburg show. Even you, right, Foles?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and shoot up there.
Yeah, you better. You better come out. It's that kind of party. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always a party where you guys are involved.
It's that.
Plus,
Hey,
plus
did you bring a bottle?
maybe Ryan will give me some jigs.
Hey,
oh, you hear that?
Bring a bottle over to 444 and we can make something happen.
Ryan, there's one sitting on your desk right there.
Yeah, but this is a prop.
Oh.
This is like a Motley
That's-
Crue one where it's like half iced tea.
No, they don't have those props here. No,
No?
everything here is real and authentic, mind you.
I'll bring you some whiskey, Ryan.
In that case.
Don't you worry.
Hey, Foles, have you had a chance to watch any of the cast series, Bassmaster?
You know, I have not. I was gonna. I was kind of getting my fishing room organized Saturday, and had some whiskey and was putting up some pegboard and hanging up all my lures, and I almost put the cast on, but I didn't.
Well,
but yeah, I'm gonna
you
do
and I
that
both
this
got to
weekend.
catch up. I'm behind on
absolutely.
it. Ryan and Gingy were talking about how awesome it is. So I feel like I'm missing now. So I
It's
got to
good.
catch up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
again, episode this Saturday.
I heard there's some fitted Jigito in there, and yeah, so it's something I really want to see.
You definitely want to see it. No doubt about it. That's the cast on.
If you're a Rayo Breckenridge fan, I am. I'm not kidding.
I know you are.
He's awesome.
There's a great story about him. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're a Jack Chancellor fan, that's the show for you. Just kidding. Whoever got that's awesome, I guess. Hey,
I got it.
Foley,
Do
I
nothing
think we're
more.
going on and on. We got a
1975.
cold water Bassin show tonight. It's a little
Yeah.
different on Straycast. We're going geeking out, technique specific. We got Pat Walters, we got Bob Downey, and we got Polish Pete from Omnia. And we're breaking it down big time. What do you think about that, Foles? You going to learn tonight?
I hope so.
So take those iPhone notes when you're at this fancy dinner, and they're going to be like, "Why are you on your phone?" And you're going to be like, "I'm learning some cold water tactics
Well,
for the Ohio River."
The NBA All-Star game's coming to Indy and here in a couple weeks, and I'm sitting down with a customer, and we're trying to have some stuff out. So yeah, I'm going to have one earbud in. Don't worry, I'll be listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Whiskey Gypsy. He's Luke Foley. Want to remind everybody, like and share the live Facebook feed for your chance to win a Tin Cup Whiskey Fun Box to your door. Also, from Omnia Fishing, a cold water bait and storage pack from Polish Pete, plus Bob Downey, plus Pat Walters, plus a plethora of gosh knows what. Put the power poles down. We're coming back with Pat Walters and Bob Downey. Thanks, Gypsy. We love you.
guys.
We'll see you in a couple days.
See you,
Love
Luke.
you guys too. Yeah, I'll see you.
Peace.
Bye.
There's a moment when you're faced with a challenge, and just solving the problem isn't good enough, even if that means breaking the rules and shredding apart conventional ways of thinking, all in the name of creating something truly remarkable. With this much control at its command, we didn't stop with just one. We created two incredible trolling motors. Introducing the new Power Pole Move brushless trolling motor.
This is the mountain, and this is mountain whiskey. Unspoiled, untamed, forever wild. There's no safety net, no way down. Up here, it's just man, and the mountain, and his tin cup. Tin Cup Whiskey. Mountain whiskey.
Omnia Premium Pro gives you the confidence to eliminate dead water on thousands of lakes across the U.S. Exclusively on the Omnia app, use 10 unique data layers containing critical real-time mapping information to see water temperature, water clarity, contours, lake bed hardness, and important weather data all in one place. Matched with Omnia's loyalty credit program on all your tackle and gear needs, this is the only app you need in your arsenal for success on the water.
Want to know the difference between power bait and other soft plastics? Ask the fish. Berkeley scientists have. Thousands of flavors tested on thousands of fish. Natural. Man-made. Every bait that's ever hit the water. No matter the shape, size, or color, power bait is the only one that is scientifically proven. Fish bite and will not let go.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, buddy.
That's a pretty good one.
Based in Chicago, Illinois, Tightrope Fishing has been designing and producing high-quality tackle for over a decade. Creators of the Baby Fireworks Super Jig, Bite Getter Spinnerbait, and more, Tightrope products are made by actual bass anglers that understand the need for tested and proven baits that catch fish. Tightrope products are available at tightropefishing.com and your favorite online tackle retailers.
Welcome back. This is the glorified version of a bass fishing talk show. I'm Pat Renwick, and I believe it is time, Bass Galaxy. Let's bring together Bassmaster Elite Series professionals from Team Omnia, the one and only Patrick Walters, and Mr. Bob Downey. Yes, Bass Galaxy.
Hey, Pat.
What's going on, boys?
What's happening?
How we doing?
Much.
And of course, we have Ryan Popcorn Whitaker here too. Where's Ryan? Where's Ryan? There's Ryan. Yes, there he is. How are you guys up to? What are you up to tonight, Pat? You're at home. Bob, you're at home.
Yeah, just wrapped up dinner with the wife and hanging out with you guys now.
And Pat, you always have that Cheshire cat grin to you.
Why not? You always got to be excited, you know.
Yeah,
you don't know what the afternoon's going to consist of when we got Pat on the line.
Hey,
you know,
Bobby, I think he swallowed a canary. Doesn't he look like the cat that swallowed something? I don't know.
Yeah, he's always up to something. You got to be careful.
So, and Bob, you're a very friendly looking gentleman as well.
Oh, thank you.
You're both very friendly looking, but I got to tell you, looks can be deceiving because you guys are cold water bassin killers. I mean, you guys have cashed a few checks in some chilly temps. You know what I mean? And that's a talent to have in bass fishing. Not everybody, but a lot of people catch them in the spring. A lot of people pattern them out in the summer. Cold weather bassin is a whole different breed. Now, before we get into the whole deal of cold weather bassin, I want to get into some of your guys' tournament prowess. Okay? Do you mind if I do that, boys? Mind if we talk a little bit about your Durbin skills here that you guys have compiled? We read your file. Here at Straight Cat. So
that was a quick read for me, probably.
Yeah, that's not true on either one of you gentlemen. And so just because you said that, Patty, I'm going to start with you. Now, hey, Pat, remember way back when you were a college boy and coming up through the ranks You know what I
feels
mean?
like that was yesterday. I mean,
what was that?
It does.
2017 or 18?
17. Yep, that's when I graduated. Which
Now,
was that?
Bob-
What, 5-6 years ago?
Bob, get this. This is an example of when we read about in Bassmaster magazine or hear the commentators on Bassmaster talk about a guy coming up through the ranks. That's what Pat Walters did, Bob Downey, didn't he?
Right. Yeah, when I started fishing in college, that was kind of like a long stretch. We never thought it would happen. Now it's just happening like crazy.
It's nuts. And Pat, you're a great example of that. You won the college derb. I think we talked about that the first time you were on the show back in 2017. And then it kind of just took off from there. You went to fish in the opens in 18 and 19, right? And then you qualified.
I fished my first set of opens in 17 when I was a senior in college.
Okay.
And then I fished the opens in 18 and I qualified that year in 18.
So you qualified for the 19 elite season.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Just putting it into perspective. So basically you fished 17 and 18 and it was only one event in 17.
I fished one series. I fished the Northern Division in 17 because I didn't know if you look at the opens and it was so far fetched. Like you just didn't even know if you could compete. And it just 3 of the Northern tournaments set up. They were kind of close because in the Northerns, then that's when they had the Northerns, the Centrals, and the Easterns. It was Lake Oneida, James River, and then Douglas Lake in Tennessee. So I was like, those really weren't that far away. The only one was Oneida. And they all kind of set up with my school schedule. So I was like, why not try it to see if it's even, if you can compete, you know?
Feasible. Yeah.
Right.
And lo and behold, I mean, kind of out of the gates. And you've won everywhere, Patty. Like you've won in New York. You've won in Louisiana. Of course, in Texas. Where else have you won? South Carolina, of course.
Carolinas.
Yeah. South Carolina. I mean, so you're no stranger to winning, and especially the last victory. Bass Galaxy, give it up right now for Pat Walters in his amazing victory on the St. Lawrence River Century Club.
Thank you.
And we did not have, we were amiss. There was things going on with Straight Cast, and I was traveling this and that. And we didn't have you on for that St. Lawrence event. So I'd kind of like to touch on that a little bit here now, and especially since we got Bob here, fellow competitor. That was a pretty special event. First off, Bob, the dude nails the Century Club on small jab.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I mean, what were you thinking?
Even last year, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of knew it was coming, but it was like even better yet this year. And I think those guys, they're pretty ballsy going out in the lake that first day and still making it happen 4 days in a row. I was in a different ball game. I kind of just needed to make a cut to make the classic. So I hate to say it, but I kind of played it safe just to make a cut. So
yeah.
But no, that was impressive. What those Kyle and Patrick, what they did that week was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, the first guy and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that and the only guy to ever hit the Century Club with bucket heads and small jaws, right?
Yeah.
I think
so you got a Century Club with bucket heads at Texas twice, and then the St. Lawrence Century Club.
And it's also the all-time smallmouth 4-day limit too, 105 pounds.
Well, that was just one of those weeks where it just worked out because, like Bob said, I tried to play it safe. I caught him in the river. I pulled an old Bob Downey, and I caught him in the river on day one. It was the best day in the river I've ever had in my entire life. I caught like 24 pounds, and I was like, "This is insane."
You did that on day one, right?
On day one, yep. I was going to the lake no matter what. But day one was so rough, I was like, I'm going to take the fishing time. And the goal was to catch 20 pounds. I was like, if you catch 20 pounds, like you did your job, like hands down. Yeah. And then just got lucky. I caught like a 6.8 or something. And then it was good.
So dude, get this. Here's the bags. Here's the bags from that derb in order of days. Day one, 24-14. That was day one. 27-3, day two. 28-5, day three. And 24-10, day four. of smallmouth bass.
The day 1 and day 4 were actually my tougher days. Days 2 and 3, of course. I mean, by the weight wise,
sure.
you left them out there biting. Like I should have caught more. I looked back and I was like, man, I probably should have stuck more. But you're like trying to save them. And then I went back to them day 4, long gone, swam, like just into the oblivion. That's what's crazy. Had to go catch them somewhere doing something different.
Hey Bob, a long time ago on this show, Brandon Palaniuk told us that smallmouth like to play hide and go F yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty true.
Going with a suitcase.
But I mean, here's the deal. Like, what an impressive derby. You edged out Chris, Corey, and Fujita. Yeah. I mean, gosh dang, man. What a crazy derb. And obviously you were periscoping, right, Patty? You were
absolutely.
You were periscoping.
The first day, a little bit of half the time. It's kind of hard to scope them in that river. I mean, Bob knows that. It's just when you get in current, you're basically, if you are using your scope, you're looking for structure, and you're just drifting to them. It just because if you're in current, they're not going to set up on it so much. But then when I was in the lake, it was 100% scoping. And also the highlight, I have to go back and look. The highlight of that week, I just remembered. I caught my personal best walleye on day 2, I think. I have to go back and look. It was like 13, 15, or like 14 pounds. It was the biggest walleye I've ever caught in my life.
That's a big one.
That's a side
boxed him too. We ate him in the derb.
Now, Pat, Bob, I'm not going to tell you some things that Seth Fider and I witnessed on St. Clair, but I know Pat Walters, with minutes to go before he had to leave for the weigh-in, did hook a walleye.
Yeah.
And I heard him say words that I never knew could come out of a grown man's mouth. Yeah, it embarrassed Seth and I what he was saying.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying something if you're embarrassing you and Seth.
Yeah. He made us blush.
Remember
that on the last day, Pat?
I do remember. It was
day 3.
It was us and the Johnsons right there too.
We were all there in a big community hole. It was fun. Those
walleyes just get me fired up. Like it was a hammer. I'm talking about. It was longer than a 48 quart cooler. I mean, it was over end to end. It was. That was one of the other highlights. That week was just knocking them out.
Did you eat it?
We ate him. We did.
You ate that thing?
Ate that thing. Yep.
Oh, man.
It didn't eat as good as the little ones though. I probably should have let him go, but
that's all
just
good.
out of pride, I had to knock the sides off that thing.
Hey, I heard you say, or actually read it, that you said that this victory on St. Lawrence was more important to you personally than your first victory at Texas Fest. Why was that, Patty?
The main thing is you in the South we grow up largemouth fishing. The first victory truly meant a lot because it's like, okay, you got that victory, you can compete at that level and everything. But to do it on smallmouth, because it's where I struggled the most, hands down. I mean, my first 2 or 3 years on the Elite Series, those were my worst finishes. I mean, I'd be good in points and we'd get up north and I'd just absolutely bomb. I would tank. I mean, if I caught 17 pounds, I was elated. I mean, 17 pounds for me was huge. It was average like 12 to 14 pounds, even on the St. Lawrence. And so to go full circle for somewhere where I was doing the worst at, and to be able to beat, like you said, the Johnstons, Fujita. I mean, Chris and Corey are the best up there. I mean, that's the 2 you want to beat, because if you beat those 2 guys in the tournament, you're top 5 guaranteed. Like, it's without a doubt top 5 or you're winning the tournament, because they're going to be there. And that's who you look up to, is those guys. And so to be full circle, to come back and to be able to have that crazy of a week shows that all the work you put in was worth it.
Is there anything specific you could point to that made you so much better on smallmouth over those few years?
Learning that they're always biting somewhere.
And forward facing.
And forward facing. That really did help. But mainly it's, down south, we'd find a good school of fish or something, and you just kind of stay on them. Like, you just have to stay with the fish, and you'll catch big ones and little ones mixed. But up there, 3-pounders are with 3-pounders, 2-pounders are with 2-pounders, and 5s are with 5s. Like, once you find the load, it's them. And so that's what I learned, is just, like, I would try to find a spot inside of a spot, but it's like you just have to keep moving until you find them. And so it's just, it was, and actually Dave Mercer helped me a bunch too, because we were talking about it one time, and he's like, Patrick, it's easier than you think. And I'm like, Dave, I can't catch a check up here. And he was like, trust me, he's like, it sets up with like everything you do down south, especially with forward facing sonar. And he was just like, it's kind of like saltwater fishing, just go fishing. And then once I just kind of fished and just relaxed a little bit, it hit me when because the only time I'd ever smallmouth fished was when we were up there in an Elite Series tournament. I wasn't up there taking trips, and I went back up there in September for the Bassmaster Open they had at St. Lawrence. It was out of Clayton, and I had a whole week to kind of like take a deep breath and just relax and go fishing. And that's really when things started clicking for me. And I had a good tournament that week. I ended up finishing 11th. I was in the top 10, and Chris Johnston was the last one to weigh in, and he knocked me out. And I told him after that, I said, Chris, that you would end up probably beating me in this Elite Series tournament if you just would have let me make that top 10 that one time. But then it was out of spite. It's like, I got to come back. I got to get redemption.
You weren't having it. You weren't having it.
I said, I know, because I was so excited to make a top 10, and then he just knocked me out. And then it was for a year. I mean, you're just mad at him, you know.
And got him. Well, congratulations on your victory, dude. And again, a very special victory for you, Pat Walters. Any Elite Series trophy is obviously a major accomplishment, and you got 2 under your belt now, bud.
Thank you.
Yeah, and 3 century belt. Yeah, you got 2 of them under your 3 century belts right now. Hey, Pat, when's the first time you remember hearing about Bob Downey?
Right before he made it, because I talk to Dan every year, and I'm like, Dan, you know who's coming on new this year? And Dan's like, yeah.
You're referring to Dan Quinn from Red.
Dan Quinn, yes. I probably should.
Yes.
Everybody knew except the entire world. The people in this conversation knew Dan was. But I was talking to DQ, Dan Quinn, the head guy at Rapala.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, we got some local guy right here from Wisconsin. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, he's a stick. And I was like, okay, like, let's go. Like, that was the first time I ever heard about Bob. And then seeing him in Elite Series, and we actually camped close by each other for the first 2 years, and so I got to meet Bob and talk to him a good bit, and we traveled close to each other. We'd always be at the same campgrounds usually.
And Danny Quinn, actually, you were nice about how he said it. He said, watch out for this dude. He's coming to
did
ass, Patty.
He did. He said, this dude's a stick. I was like, here we go. And I was like, I was thinking, he's probably only going to be throwing a crawl tube, you know. Like, and I know he loves that crawl tube. That crawl tube does catch him. Bob's probably like,
no, it doesn't really catch him.
Crawl tube.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Bob can catch him. I don't care if it's knee deep or 25 feet deep. You got to watch out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And again, both of you guys are trained assassins in bass fishing. So hey Pat, where are you and Bob going? You're going to the Bassmaster Classic, and Bob, what's the name of that lake again? Where you guys are going to the Bassmaster Classic?
Going to Grand Lake.
Yeah, remember the time you won a tournament there, Bob?
Yeah, it was a life-changing moment for me.
It was amazing.
That's the reason I'm sitting right here.
With that being said, you won an Opens event there. That was 2019, right, Bobby?
Yeah, right. Okay.
That's the first time I heard of you, Bob. And I'm like, okay, here he comes. Here he comes. And are you getting any kind of funny feelings knowing that you're returning to a place where you had a victory for?
Yeah, I think it's always, you got some good vibes going into it no matter what. Even though that was in September, we'll be there in March this year. But the way I caught those fish that year, depending on water level and how the spring progresses, I mean, that same stuff could play. So you always got that in the back of your head. But it'll be cool to revisit that place for sure, especially on the classic stage. And that's why I'm here today. I had to have a top 3 or 4 finish in that tournament to make the elites, and ended up winning it and making the elites. So it was just kind of one of those perfect storms that week. And so it'd be really cool to go back.
And you were one of those 1 years at the Opens guy. You made it after fishing it 1 year, which is a major accomplishment. Yikes. I mean, another perfect example. Wow.
Yeah, it was a good year. And we started at Toledo Bend that year too, so it'd be kind of fun to go back to Toledo this year. And I think it's about the same week we were there for the Open, so that'll be cool.
Nice. So it's a little it's a little glory day kind of this year in 24.
Yeah, bit of a homecoming, so that'll be nice.
I like it, Bob. Now, so Bob, you may or may not know on this show, I think that we've had this happen to you before, and I know we've had it happen to Pat Walters, but we probe Ronnie Moore every week, and we when we have a straight cash show, we probe him hard, and Ryan probed Ronnie Moore and found out some very interesting information about you, Bob Downey. Now, you are a derber, Bobby. I mean, for crying out loud, you've been a derber since you drew fighter in 2006, ain't it? I mean,
yeah, that kind of lit a fire under me for sure.
But I mean, you could tell you are a check casher and you are a derber, and when you're there, you got the war paint on. And Pat Walters, he's there to win. He's there to win. There's no doubt. So Ryan, with that being said, what'd you learn from Ronnie about
throughout the probing? Well, we got some stats that might interest you.
Okay.
That you may not have thought about. So Bob, you fished 44 bass events. You got 1 win. We just talked about that, Grand Lake. You've caught 1,483 pounds of bass.
Wait, hold on. Slow down. 44 derbs.
Yep. 44
BASS derbs. How many pounds?
One win.
Right. How many pounds of bass?
1,483 pounds of bass.
Listen to that, Bobby. 44 derbs, 1,483 pounds of bass.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sorry, Ryan. I wanted.
That's all right.
What else you got?
Okay. So your total winnings would be $357,530.
Not bad. That means you're still in the red, only $250,000.
Yeah.
Bass angler. That's not bad.
Right.
Oh, God.
You're doing good. Hey, Bass fans like to count Bass Pros monies. You know that. You know we do that. Okay, Ryan, sorry.
And through this calculation, with Ronnie, we came up with this number: $241 per pound of bass that you've caught.
Every bass you catch is how much, Ryan?
Every pound of bass.
Every pound of bass you catch is
$241.
It's worth $241.
That's kind of crazy to think about. Like if you look at a 2-pound bass.
Yeah. You just made
we're talking about
it's almost $500. Yeah.
So think about that.
I mean, that makes me feel a little better about catching 2-pounders, I guess.
Well, it makes you feel better about 2-pounders, especially when you're boat flipping them. But now think about it when you're on the forward-facing gear and 6-pound line, and you're playing. I mean, and it's a 4-pound smallmouth. Now that's
6-pound line stronger than you think, though.
Yeah, you're playing $1,000 fish.
Yeah. So
look at Pat just grinning, just grinning. He says,
you wait till you catch a redfish on 6-pound straight mono. It will teach you how strong 6-pound line is.
Is that right?
I swear to you.
Okay.
My dad was the one who taught me about light line, hands down, and that was from saltwater fishing.
Interesting. $241 a pound, Bobby. What do you think about that?
That's good.
I mean, it's okay, I guess. Probably not as good as Patrick's pound per average, but
maybe this number will make you happier. Went a little further and figured out what you're making.
Probed further?
Yeah, probed further.
Okay.
Took it to another length. $8,125 is what you're earning each tournament you're fishing. That's your average.
$8K a derb out of 44. That's not bad, bud.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's a derber stat. That shows you're a casher. You're a check casher.
It's pretty good.
Casher.
That's good.
$8K.
All right. Well, how about Patty Walters? What's he got going?
Oh, you want his numbers?
Yeah, let's hear Pat's.
All right, Pat. You've got
these 2-pounders are going to be worth a little more. I think.
Well, he's got
Pat, get the pencil out.
Quite a few more tournaments under his belt. So, Pat, you fished 77 tournaments. You've got 5 wins. You have caught 3,148 pounds of bass.
3,148 pounds. That's a lot.
Pretty good.
Most of them in shorts, and we're talking about cold water bass.
Shorts.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's always shorts underneath the long pants.
That's true.
Just depends on how street legal they are.
Adds bulk. Yes.
We're not talking about YouTube shorts. $1,009,388.
Wow.
$1
$1 million club, Patty. Yep. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, that's impressive, dude.
Wow, Pat.
Congrats. That's huge.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Fast.
Very
77 tournaments.
Very fast.
I nicknamed him the meteorite.
That's right. So your price per pound of bass is at $320. $320 per pound.
$320 a pound per bass.
It's expensive at the fish market. I wouldn't be buying that fillet.
Not if it's tuna. Tuna's more, but it's good for bass.
What's Pat's price per gallon?
Your price per gallon. Your price per tournament that you're fishing, $13,108.
Net $13K a dirt. Wow. Both impressive stats. Bob Downey at $8K a derb and Pat Walters at $13K a derb. That's impressive.
Very good.
Bass Galaxy stats. Where's Andy at? Where's Andy?
Andy
Ellenberger. There he is.
You got it.
Hey, you guys are amazing derbers, as evident by the probing of Ronnie Moore stats here. So with that in mind, do you mind if we tap into some of that derber brain of yours and get some cold water knowledge out of you guys? Are you cool with that? Hey, and we're going to bring Pistol Pete, Polish Pete from Omnia, aboard, and he's the bait connoisseur. He's some kind
I was about
of
to say, you could probably get more knowledge out of Pete.
Yeah.
Well, he's a bait.
Pete's got it going on.
Yeah, so we got Pete on for some bait geeking. And what the deal is here, guys, is we kind of got it broken down. And so I believe I asked you this earlier, Bob, on the phone. And Pat, I'm going to ask you now. When you think of cold weather bass fishing, what's the water temp? Cold weather bass fishing. I'm talking red mouth, fat belly bass. You know what I mean.
I'm going to say 48 and colder water temperature.
Oh, going 48. And ladies and gentlemen, it's
go
Polish
48.
Pete from Omnia Fishing. There he is. Do you have a French guy hat on? Oh, no. It's just a flat bill. I thought you had one of those Frenchmen Omnia hats on.
No, I have to wear a flat bill with this light in front of my face, otherwise I get a shade.
Okay, no, I like it. And Bobby, what would you say that cold water bass and temperatures are?
Yeah, I think I said 50 degrees and less.
Okay, so Pat went 48 and less. Bob, you're going 50 and less. And Polish Pete, what are you saying? Cold
water?
Yeah, cold water bassing.
I'm a bit of a fair weather fisherman, not like these gentlemen. So if it's, I'd say, they're right though. Like low 50s to me.
Pete's
like
gonna say 65 in the spawn.
Yeah, 65.
58, they could be spawning. So you get to 56, they could.
Hey, dude, I've seen them spawning in like 50, bro.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. You can ask Seth this. I am a donator from hell all the way clean through the spawn. Like it's devastating. I need summertime patterns, some offshore, some setup fish. Okay. But to your point, though, I've traveled around the country. I've been lucky with this job to fish everywhere. So I would say like low 50s. Yeah. If I saw 52, 51, 50 degrees, I'm thinking I'm busting out blade baits and spinner, all sorts of stuff like that. So
sure. Okay. So here's what I got broken down, guys, and go ahead and feel free to add anything in if you want. We basically have a few different categories of baits here for cold weather. And what this is going to be is kind of like a Bass University seminar, but for the people that are in detention. Okay. Which, by the way, there's live Bass U seminars going on right now, I think in Texas. They just finished, and there's more coming up. Go ahead and set up at thebassuniversity.com and tell the dean that Stray Cast sent you. But anyway, we're going to just try and get as technical as we can with these different categories of baits. And so here's the first thing that we got, boys. We have flat-sided plugs, okay? We have lipless crankbaits. We have what I call Christie type spinner baits. Those are the cowbell spinner baits. We have, of course, the good old jig and pig. And we have a bait that Pat Walters very rarely throws. That is a jerk bait. Okay. And these are cold water lures, IMO, in my opinion, as they say in text. Bob, what did I leave out? What is a sleeper bait or another bait that I left out for cold water bassing?
I mean, up here, the blade bait is
the blade,
big deal.
100%.
We throw a lot of little swimmers, like
Like
season.
schmelpenators?
Yeah, more like a little paddle tail swim bait, like a 3-inch or
little
something.
kitexual type.
Easy
Yeah.
shiners. Yeah.
Okay.
We throw a lot of tubes too for smallmouth. I guess I'm talking more smallmouth all of a sudden, but
well, still that's okay. We're talking both here. I mean,
like late season smallmouth, those are kind of the a tube of blade bait and a little swimmer are kind of hard to beat
in the cold weather.
Yeah.
What about you, Patty? Is there any baits I'm leaving out as far as a cold water bait?
I like where Bob was going with the swimmer kind of deal. The only thing I think that my favorite winter bait, hands down, I'd have to say is probably an Alabama rig. We can't throw it much.
Oh,
right.
I mean, an Alabama rig is like, if I'm at home
that's the sleeper.
and I'm fun fishing, I mean, you're just cleaning house. I mean, it's, I love the spinner bait. I love the trap, cranking, jig, all that's fun. But if you could throw a rig, I mean, you're one rod. I mean, you just you don't have to grab nothing else if you don't want to.
And what temperature do you feel that the Alabama rig is most effective, Pat?
Unlimited.
Really?
I mean, if it's not frozen, I think you could probably catch them on it. It all just varies of the style swim bait you put on there. That's all you would change. I mean, you can catch them to 90 degrees on that thing. I've seen them catch them in summertime ledges on an Alabama rig. So it's, I think you just change out what you put on there and how heavy of heads and stuff.
And you're talking about bucket heads. What you're saying, Pat, right?
Anything.
Okay.
If it swims in that water and it eats bait fish, it will eat an Alabama rig.
Okay.
I mean, I don't catch many smallmouth on there, but Pete, Bob, y'all tell me. I mean,
when you said that, it made me laugh because me and Pat were talking about cold water baits before this, and I have to tell. So last year, I made a pact that I'd start going back up to Canada more and fishing, and I called our buddy Gussie there to get some tips on some baits and stuff, and he always laughs at me when I ask for some help because he's like, dude, you're going to the promised land. You should be able to figure it out, like
anything.
And it's like cold, but it was cold. It was late October. And he was like, dude, throw a rig. And I'm like, I didn't even think of it. And I'm like, they can throw more hooks on a rig in Canada, which has more rules than any other place, than we can here in Minnesota. Which I did not know. So
they could throw 5 hooks in Canada.
Yeah. So I went out there.
Canada is,
and I brought up a bunch of Canada. I brought up Minnesota rigs with one hook on them, but I threw Minnesota rigs with one jig on them, and it outfished most other baits. Not everyone, but it was insanely effective. So I got to shout out Gussie on that, and good call on that.
The old chandelier.
There ain't nothing going to beat a chandelier. And another story on that note. I went down in December to Lake of the Ozarks with Seth one time to have fun. And just like normal, when I think I'm going to have fun with Seth, he makes me do all the crap. And he made me throw the rig the whole
hubs on his trailer
time. Well, he threw jerk baits and outfished me pretty good, but I did catch the big ones on the rig. So, Patrick, good call out. We were talking about that earlier, the rig in the cold. That's for sure.
That's a good call.
Hey, Bobby, is that true in the north too? Do you feel that's true?
Yeah.
Like if the lake's not frozen, you can throw an A rig.
Absolutely. Yep. It's a big deal up here too. That single swim bait, like when it gets real cold, like you're talking 38, 39, 40 degree, that single swimmer, like almost crawled slowly on the bottom, can be better. But that A rig has a window where I would say it beats anything else in the fall too for smallmouth.
Yeah.
Is the standard rule of thumb for you guys as well? Basically, you're throwing out the A rig, counting it down to the bottom, and reeling it in as slow as you can in the cold temperature. Is that the rule of thumb for cold fishing, or what am I missing something?
Sometimes it all depends on where they're at. Now that we can use forward facing sonar, we can see where they're setting up at.
True.
I mean, if they're way up off the bottom, if they're on structure or something, because usually I actually throw it around structure. I throw it the same way I would throw a spinnerbait. I mean, sometimes I'm not making 10-yard cast. And so that's how I'm fishing it. But if I'm open water and stuff, I would say getting it down there. But like Bob said, the only problem with the rig is, well, in South Carolina, we can throw 5 hooks. So if we get it down to the bottom, you're losing it.
Yeah, I got you.
Getting it back. So that's why when that single swimmer, you can crawl and it just comes through there so much better. And it's just subtle.
And it seems in these open water areas a lot where we fish, the deal is you kind of count it down. Kind of like you would the small swimmer that Bob's talking about.
Yeah.
Fish
So
similar to that.
the Great Lakes deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
Pat, I got to know if you're throwing 5 hooks. I've never even thrown 5 hooks. In Wisconsin, I fish a lot. We throw 3. I just kept throwing 3 down here, even though we can throw 5 in Illinois on Lake Michigan. But I have a hard time. If you try to throw 5, it seems like it's hard to balance. How do you go about balancing it so it doesn't roll over all the time with 5 baits?
Just put all. If you put all of the heads the same size, it will find where it wants to ride. And then you just kind of bend your wires a little bit. It may twist a little bit sometimes, but then the baits are all on swivels. They're going to level out. Where you don't have them dedicated, where it's like 2 teasers up top, 2 teasers at the bottom or something, then your middle hook. Usually if you put all 5 the same size, because if you had 2 hooks at the bottom and 1 at the top, it might spin on you. But if you have all the same size heads, it'll usually just track true. You just have to bend your wires a little bit. Yeah.
So not doing heavier, because I'd always tried it like with you do a heavy one down, you bend the middle one down to a heavy one, and a little bit lighter, and then real light on top. So
I've tried that, but then I feel like you just get some kind of inconsistency, because if it's not bent the way that it needs to be bent, like it's like a spinner bait, if that spinner bait's bent a little too much or it's bent the wrong way, it's going to rise. It's going to have too much pull. So say the bottom swim baits they could be dragging water, basically. It'll still want to spin. So if you just put all of the same size heads on there, it'll find how it wants to run and it'll track true. So I just would run all the same size.
You agree with that, Bob?
We can only run 1, so I honestly haven't experimented with running 5. So
what you're running?
You're
running dummies
by a 5 hooker.
I'll believe the $1 Million Man, and I'd put all the same on our running 5.
Me
the
too.
$1 Million Man.
Yeah, me too.
Is that what you're doing when you're running 1 too? Are you just doing dummies with the hooks cut off?
No, it's blades. So here's the Hog Farmer. That's the Minnesota rig. It's just blades with a single hook on it, single jig behind it.
Oh, so okay. That's a Minnesota rig.
Yeah, that's the Minnesota rig. And that's what I use in Canada. And shocker, it worked.
Yeah, it works.
I think if I was to throw 1 hook, I would like to throw what Pete's got, because
that looks good.
The dummy thing messes with me, because when the BFLs come out for a while, we could only throw 3 hooks, and then you tried to do the dummies and stuff, and I don't like that, because you throw that thing by a dock or something, and you watch a 5-pounder come through there, and he's swiping and he's smoking baits, and you're sitting there reeling it in, and he's like, eat the hook, and he won't eat it, because I think they can see the hook. So I'd rather not give him an opportunity to even hit at it. I'd rather have the baits to draw power, and then he's going to close in on the bait. So I would rather throw the blades like Pete's got. That looks good.
Hey, Bobby, describe an A-rig bite. Do your best to describe an A-rig bite with as many descriptive adjectives as you can use.
I mean, I guess it depends on how you're fishing it. If you're kind of dragging it on bottom, I don't think it's as explosive as if you're dragging it, by a floating dock or something like that. But they eat it pretty good. I don't know if it's like a giant spinnerbait is what you're throwing, really. Mm-hmm. And in the fall, I used to throw it on the St. Croix River a lot when I lived around the cities more in the fall, and you're throwing it in 2 to 8 feet of water up around rock bars. And when a 4-pound smallie jacks that thing, it's pretty fun.
You kind of know it, don't you, Bob?
Yeah.
What are you using for tackle when you're gearing up for these A-rigs?
I throw it on like a 7.6 to a 7.10, more of your what I would consider like a punch type rod. Like it's got a bit of a bend to it, like not a pool cue. Mine's more of like a medium heavy moderate fast or a heavy moderate fast, something like that.
And on braid, fluoro, mono.
I like to throw it on fluorocarbon.
On fluoro, 25.
Typically 20.
20. Okay. What's your setup, Patty?
Same. Bob's right on it. I'm throwing 20-pound fluoro, 7.9. It's a Daiwa Kage A-rig rod. Actually, it's a medium heavy, kind of like Bob's saying. It's a stiff medium heavy, but it's got more of a tip to it, because I mean your drag's cranked and you're going to hit those fish pretty good. You want it to kind of load pretty good. It's going to have some bend to it, but if you want to lose an Alabama rig, throw it on braid. That's the quickest way you can lose an Alabama rig. I mean, I'm talking about just sending it one time and it's just like You just watch it.
She gone.
I mean, quickest way to lose it. So fluoro is the deal, and yeah, you really don't need 25. I've thrown on 25, but I think 20 is just all around perfect.
20's fine, huh?
Yep.
I like it. That's one of the sleepers.
I was throwing it on like a 7.4 heavy, kind of like frog rod with straight braid. To Patrick's point, I lost all of Seth's A-rigs on cables in Lake of the Ozarks that I set the hell out of the hook on. Now I do throw it on a 7.6 flip and stick with 20-pound fluoro. That's my go-to for an A-rig now. So
the biggest thing that made me switch was two things from the braid to fluoro.
Yeah.
One was, it was crazy how many you would lose. Your knots would pop.
Yeah.
But I think your fish wouldn't commit because they could hear that braid singing through that rod. Because
Really?
that thing was
really
when you're, dude, I'm telling you, I've seen it. Like this is when the rig come out and we were doing it big time. But like throw an Alabama rig on braid and you could just hear it humming through your guides. I think it was sending it down to the rig and it was just like they could hear it.
Huh.
Interesting.
I think so. And that's why I think fluoro you get more bites.
Yeah, it's like the old cups on a string deal when you were
100%,
kids, right? Yeah.
I mean, just imagine when you throw braid, you can hear it coming in. You can just hear it humming through every guide. They can hear it.
Bobby, you mentioned the blade bait, which is a northern staple. I mean, it's and of course in the south. Look at that one. That's that.
Why is it not a true southern staple?
Yeah, I don't understand, but it really is. Look at Billy Westmoreland on Dale Hollow back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, just smashing the big small.
They're throwing really big ones on the Tennessee lakes now.
True, though. Yeah, that ledge hog and stuff. I've never been a blade bait guy.
Yeah, I mean, Bob lives and dies by him sometimes, don't you, Bobby?
Well, I grew up throwing them for walleye on the river, Mississippi. And that's really how I learned how to fish them. I got a good buddy who's pretty dialed into the walleye gig on the Mississippi, and we threw them a lot in the springtime for walleye, pre-spawn fish. And he's the one that really taught me how to throw them. And then I now throw it for smallmouth. But it's definitely a bait where you can certainly overwork it. Like you can give a blade bait to someone and you think it's just ripping it off the bottom and reeling it in and ripping it off the bottom.
Like trap fishing or something, yeah.
Yeah, like it can sound really easy, but there's definitely a touch to it, I think, at times. I mean, every day is maybe a little different, but you in my experience, you just want to get that thing starting to vibrate and then stop.
Okay.
Whether you do it with a crank of the handle or with your rod tip, whatever, either way, you want to just start to feel that thing to vibrate and then let it fall. Instead of ripping it, 2-3 feet off the bottom, it's just a real subtle deal because you're typically throwing it in 38 to, low 40-degree water temp, maybe mid 40s. And so you don't really need to be ripping that thing like you're doing in the summertime on a ledge.
Yeah, it's almost like hopping a jig.
Yep.
Are you a spin pole blade bait?
I am. Yeah. I like just your medium light 7. You could throw it up to 7.5 foot if you prefer that. But yeah, and I throw it on braid to fluorocarbon leader. You could probably throw it on straight fluoro if you were, preferred that, but I like braid to fluoro.
What's your go-to blade? What are you throwing, Bobby? Like, what's your deal?
Either that Damiki one is really good. I think that's one Pete maybe just showed.
You got it.
Or the I don't even have one with me right now, but it's just like the old school
Silver Buddy.
Well, I have a Silver Buddy.
Yeah.
I actually have a Silver Buddy in my tin cup.
Careful.
I know. Look at this; is very dangerous. This is but look at that, boys.
Yeah,
that right there.
Yeah, that's what we threw for walleye all the time.
I throw them on casting gear.
It's a classic.
Do the walleye hit that thing pretty good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun bite.
Look
at the crusher.
He's smiling.
It's a fun bite. Yeah, and you're in heavy current usually too, and so it really taught me how to read current seams and how to fish blade bait. It was a really neat learning experience for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the and those are the sleepers. The blade baits,
yeah,
and the A-rig. Okay, nice choices, guys. Hey, Gingy, is Gingy around? Ginge, let's go to the Premium Pro app for a second. Hey, Polish Pete.
Yeah.
Watch this. You ever heard of this?
What do you got?
You ever heard of this Premium Pro app that
I have. What are you gonna do right now? I gotta see this.
I'm gonna do some wizardry. This
All
is
right.
through the modern miracle of science. If Andy's ready, we're gonna show you some Premium Proing. Andy, are you ready? He is. Okay. This look, this is actually a screenshot. We're going to the Premium Pro app and we're Google Earthing in
some
right now.
It looks cold up there.
Yes, it's very cold where that is. It's actually where Pistol Pete is right now.
They're doing Pete's like, don't show this off.
They're doing sneaky stuff now.
It's very cold, but let's go right now. Excellent, Ginge. I like that. That's science right there. Let's go to show us a little bit of a Lake Norman map. You got a Lake Norman map? Look at this.
There looked like two big wintering holes on that lake.
Yeah.
If we go back to that, there was two of them. They were on other sides.
So it looks like the water temperatures there, if you guys can see, vary anywhere from 40, mid 40s to the low 50s.
Yeah.
Does that seem about right?
Yeah.
And you see how that
it's
works.
chilly here.
Yeah, it's pretty dang chilly, bud. So Patty, now we talked about flat sides. We talked about jerk baits. We talked about the sleepers. We talked about a lipless crankbait, and we talked about a Christie spinnerbait being winter Bassin baits. Now pick one of those baits. You got one bait for the whole day, and pick a spot. One spot for the whole day.
That's a good one. I like
cold weather on this map. You show me. Where's Pat Walters going? Give away some.
I could give some sauce away. I don't know if we're going to Norman. But I'm going to take a red Demon DT6.
Ooh,
okay.
And
right there, that's my mouse. If you can see where it says Lake Norman right there in the middle, where it says 54 below that creek to the above that, like right there by the L.
Okay.
See how it looks warm right there?
I do.
It's because it is warm. That's a hot water. That's because it's a hot water discharge, and that's the creek I'm going to be at. That's the warmest water on the lake.
Interesting.
Okay.
And you got the
And this map shows it to you plain as day. Like you can see it so quick. That's why the water's warm right there in the middle of the lake, and at the bottom there's two hot water discharges on Lake Norman. But right there in the middle, you can see where it shoots out right there. That one creek, how it's like turning whitish yellow, right there by the L on Lake Norman, and that's a hot water discharge. Yep.
So Pete, it wasn't Pat Walters, Pete. It was actually the Premium Pro app that gave away the sneaky spots.
100%.
Pat Walters.
I mean, that makes it plain as day. Like you look at this and you're like, wow.
He just pointed it out. Hey, so Bob, with that being said, is that where you're going, to the warm water discharge spots?
Well, yeah, I suppose. But if Patrick beats me there, I probably got to find a different spot.
Where are you going and what are you throwing? One spot, Lake Norman, all day, one bait. Where are you going?
I'd probably lean more towards, I'd get somewhere in that low 50s, upper 40s range, and I'd lean towards more of a flat side, either the OG Tiny or the original Shad Rap.
Dang.
Both of these were really good for me on the Tennessee River the last two times we've been there, for the Classic and the Elite event. And I was throwing it in like high 40 degree, 50 degree temps. And the first time we were there, a lot of the bait was back in the creeks. And even though it was really cold, I had my best luck back in pockets, which is odd. A lot of times I like to fish more main lake in the wintertime, because you can see on this map, like besides that creek that Patrick pointed out, and maybe some of them down by the other hot water discharge, the farther back in these pockets you get, the colder the water is. So typically that main lake or main river is a lot more stable.
Gotcha.
A little bit warmer temps. It just seems like the back ends of the pockets, they warm fast, but they also cool off the fastest too. So I typically like to get more on towards main lake. So I'd say it looks like the most stable temps to me, besides those hot water discharges, is kind of right in the middle portion of the lake. if you went above Lake Norman, where it says Lake Norman above the bridge,
Sure.
you got low 40s, mid 40s. I'd say that midsection of the lake where it's bumping 50 degrees, then you maybe have more of a flat-sided bite versus, I don't even know what you do in the hot water discharge. You throw more, I don't know, DT6 or spinnerbait type deal, but
I'll tell
the
you what I
flat-sided
do.
deal to me is more like a high 40s, low 50s. So I'd pick that midsection of the lake and stay more on, either main lake points, maybe back to the first secondary points, and out for the most part.
Nice. And
I burned through both those warm water discharges with a 5-wire A rig with 5 baits.
Because you aren't in the derb.
That is how and Pete blew us out. Hands down. Just got every fish in the lake.
Hey, I thought it was interesting though that you guys both picked the flat-sided.
Me too.
Crankbait for this application. And especially Bobby showed that classic shad wrap. I mean, and in that crawdad color, man. Bob, how many bass in the history of Bassin have been caught on that crawdad shad wrap? Patty, isn't that nuts? Dude, think about that.
More than we can calculate, I can promise you that, because that is the #1 shad wrap color. I mean, it's just, I don't know why. I mean, everybody throws that color, and it's just catches them. If somebody throws shad wraps, that's their top 2 favorite colors. I mean, it's just catches bass.
What was the water temps in Florida, Bob, when you got second in Florida with the storm?
I think they were, well, that was a weird deal. I think in practice it was a little chillier, and
I think it was chilly.
Yeah, it was cold. Yeah,
I thought so.
50-degree, mid 50s, and then in the tournament, because that was the first event of the year, so we got an off day. I think it was warm, and then
the off day was warm. You're right, Bob. I remember it being like smoking hot. That it was like 80 that off day.
But then that night was really cold, and so the day 1 of the tournament was cold, and day 2 was warm, and that's when I lost those contact with those fish. Was day 2, and Paul and I caught them on beds in the back of that area I was fishing.
Wow.
And then day 3 and 4, it got cold again, and those fish kind of sucked back down in. So it was, I think, teetering between the mid 50s and low 60s.
No.
And again, I mean, you were applying cold water tactics too. You were worming. You were worming a flat.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I was working it very much like you'd fish a blade bait. Honestly, I was kind of worming it along the bottom and just slow hops off the bottom and working it through those areas on a bait caster. This is actually the exact one I was using there.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
But,
that's the deal.
Yeah.
That was a fun derb to watch, Bob. That was definitely.
Yeah, that was cool.
We were rooting for you. I know.
Honest question. Is that excuse my language, is that shit dead? Is everybody just going to be straight up scoping, or will that thing play? Something like that this year.
On the St. John's?
Anywhere. You know what I mean? Even when it's cold like that, will you blind cast those things somewhere, or do you have to be looking at them this spring?
Interesting.
I think it depends on your style. I think
100%.
I think that bite is still probably going to exist to a certain
would think
extent.
so.
It's not just going to go away, but is scoping going to be more effective? I don't know at this point. I think a lot of it might depend on the weather we got. If that thing gets blown out muddy, or it's, I don't know. It could depend on a lot of things. I think if it stays cold and consistent and the main lake stays clean, then you're going to see a lot of scoping going on.
Yeah,
but,
I do too.
And I think periscoping's teaching us a lot about obviously the whole sport of bass fishing.
Yeah.
But it's opening our eyes to how bass behave during all seasons, especially cold weather. Now, this is something shocking, Pat, that we might find out from forward-facing sonar, is that bass no longer like red crankbaits in cold weather.
Ooh.
Do you think that's a possibility? That it's just in our minds?
No.
They really like red crankbaits in cold
They love
weather.
red. I don't know what it is. It's crawfish. They're fattening up. I mean, look at their lips. Their lips are red.
Yeah.
No, they eat red without a doubt. I'll throw red till I die. I mean,
I
yes,
know
they
in the
eat
cold.
red.
You too, Bobby, right?
What's that?
You too. You're on that red crank.
Oh yeah,
color
Yeah.
in the cold water, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a confidence thing or what. I mean, it definitely is a deal in the spring.
I can't put them down, especially that ghost red. You know, I mean, that Dave Thomas Fritz, he designed some good plugs for you guys at Rapala and us
Yes.
here at Berkeley, and that
Yeah.
they they catch the red something else.
Yeah,
It is.
Deal. So get this, Fritz showed me that red's not just for breakfast anymore. So when I was in the boat with Fritz, he's smashing them in the summer on the red too.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not just cold weather. He's like, oh no, they just love this.
That's a thing in Minnesota too. In
I was
the
going to say
summer.
the exact same thing, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, especially around grass for some reason. I don't know. It's not like you're deep cranking with the red, but like a DT6 over a deep coontail flat or something like that has kind of been a long-term deal in Minnesota too.
A red magwort in the summer on Minnetonka used to be a big player in the milfoil. Now it's like the greatest, like 16 to 24 inch pike lure in the history of mankind. So if you want to come try that out, I got some holes for you.
So
wire leader.
So Pete, in the cold weather temperatures at Omnia Fishing,
Yeah.
I mean, is it a pretty safe statement to say that you sell more red plugs than any other color during the cold water period?
Yeah, that's very true. The red takes off. It sells a lot stronger clean into the spring months than you'd think. Like once I would think my brain would be off cranking, but red dominates in those early months. It'll turn on when a crankbait manufacturer launches a new series of plugs. The red's always the first to go, and it might not even be the long-term big player, but it's just because the time of year, usually that classic release time or whatever. Red plugs do go the fastest.
I've never seen red plugs fly off the shelf faster. And tell me if you gentlemen remember this, than when Takahiro Omori won the Lake Martin deal up in the river on the
Lucky Craft.
I mean,
I got another one that's probably faster than that one.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Randy Howell Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
they were $45 for a DT6.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I mean, that was the crazy. And I had a stockpile of them, and I regret I should have sold every single one of them. But at the time, like if you're bass fishermen or bass hoarders, you're like,
oh yeah,
we might have a tournament next month, and they're going to be eating a red DT6, and I don't want to buy them, so it's like I got to hold on to my stash. But no, that was unbelievable.
I'd have to back you up. The red DT6 is the nuttiest I've seen people chase.
That was I've never seen anything like that. Ever.
KVD 2010 also.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
That's a very.
I bought a mini of 1.5s after that.
No, I'm talking.
That was
10.
the red.
I'm talking 10.
The red eye.
The red eye.
Oh, the red eye.
That's
and then the
very good
1.5. Yeah, those were impossible to get.
Yeah, you couldn't get the Chukawachahachi chartreuse and black back one after he beat Brandon in that tournament. Yeah.
Chattahoochee.
Yes. Whatever it was called, the Kuchawachahachi chartreuse.
Well, there was Lay Lake and then Chattahoochee.
Chattahoochee.
Yeah.
So I still have a big question for you guys, and I'd like to hear a theory. How come we don't run like a red chunk on the back of a jig in cold water, or anything red on a bottom contact?
You don't do that?
What are you talking about, Pete?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm a big red worm guy, like red bug or plum.
But why not though?
Not on a jig. I don't know.
No.
That's a good question.
I've always wondered the spinner bait too. Like everybody's, the red chatterbait took off, but then no red spinner bait.
I agree.
Come on,
the most red on a spinner bait, I think, is the kicker blade.
Yeah, and I've tried all red spinner baits and just not really done it. Yeah, just haven't really done it.
So
and same
weird.
with the red chunk. But I have thrown a red jig before. Actually,
I've flipped like a tube with red tails before in the spring, but
did it work?
Yeah, I've caught them on it, but it wasn't enough for me to be like
switch to it. Yeah.
I'm big on the black and red plastics pre-spawn.
Yeah, for sure. I am too.
But that's red.
Oh, pre-spawn, you said.
Pre-spawn.
Okay,
hands down. I'm talking about like chewing the bark off of it. Like it'll in dirtier water, it'll beat black and blue, but I don't throw straight red.
The old Denny Brower neon is what he's referring
neon
to.
black. Yeah.
Hey, I want to go back in before we get off of this plug thing. We'd be amiss here if we didn't talk about what you guys are throwing these flat sides on. Now, Bob and Pat, are you guys glass rod guys? How about you, Bob? You throw it on the glass?
I throw it on a composite rod. It's
Okay, composite.
7.2 medium moderate. It's a St. Croix Legend tournament bass. It's got some carbon in it. It's got some glass in it. I basically throw anything from a DT8, DT6, the OG Slims, the Tinies, all those smaller flat sides on that rod.
Okay, interesting. And are you like a 12-pound line guy?
Yeah, I'd
6'8"
say
reel?
12 pound. Yeah.
6'8"
I'd say
reel?
12 is the best place to start.
Best place to start.
Yeah, you can, right. Patrick's right. I mean, if you want to still throw that DT6, but you're throwing it in, I don't know, 2 to 3 foot of water or 2 to 4, you might bump up a little bit. But yeah, I throw it on a 6 something to 1. I don't even know what it is, 6 to 3 or something.
Gotcha. But the slower ratio,
Yeah.
ratio.
Well, I say that, and then there's times I like to throw it on a 7. Like when that water temp starts getting up a bit and I'm moving the boat faster, then I'll bump up my gear ratio.
Yeah, Bob made a perfect point because, like, when you're traveling and fishing, you're breaking down water. Like, if you were sitting on the bank or something, or like spot locked, you'd want that slow reel. But we're usually just cruising down the bank, so you need that faster reel to still maintain, just to bring in line. But it's still going the same speed if you were doing a 6.3 to 1 sitting still.
Right.
Sure, right. And I actually learned that from on this show before from Aaron Martins. Remember, he was cranking with an 8 on everything just to compensate for boat speed. Pat, what are you using? Glass rods as well in that Daiwa line?
It's like a glass. It's like probably a composite. Pete will know this. I crank mostly with the Randy Howell 7.1 medium light. It's more of a medium action rod than a medium light, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Pete?
Yep.
What would you say that's composite? Like, it's not.
It's a graphite moderate action rod. Randy's a lot like me. He likes to feel a little bit more, and but yeah, it has a glass bend to it.
You're a sensitive guy, Pete. Is that what you're saying?
You're very sensitive. Pete is a very sensitive guy.
When it comes to cranking, he's super
But so the rod and reel setups, I'd say, are identical to Bob. I mean, that's just a perfect shallow depth cranking rod, 7.1, 7.2, something you can make long cast with and get out there, but also you can make small roll cast to shallow targets that you can see, and you may only be casting 5 yards. I start at 12 pound usually always. I've gone down to 10, don't really like to go to 10, and I've gone to 14 or 17 to go up. Just like Bob said, if he was fishing that grass, you'd want a little bit thicker line where you could like clean that bait a little bit. So I start with 12 as well usually.
I like it. Hey, how important, Bob Downey, is water clarity in cold water bassin? How important is it, Bobby?
I mean, I'd say it's pretty important. I don't think you need crystal clear water necessarily. I mean, clear water is good, but I don't mind just a slight stain to it as well at times. I don't think I'm going to be going and looking for the muddiest water in the system, but I definitely wouldn't shy away from a little stain in the cold either.
So, and look at this. Here's science again.
You guys did your homework tonight. Dang.
Yeah, 100%. Look at this. This is the Premier Pro app again, the Premium Pro, and this is showing it's like Seminole, and this is showing watercolor on Lake Seminole. Now I'm giving you guys the bait this time. Okay. All right, I'm giving you the bait, and you got to tell me where and the water temperature, and it's an extremely cold 50 degrees, 51 degrees on Lake Seminole. And you're given an old Christie spinner bait, Christie type hubcap to throw. You know what I mean, Bobby Downey?
Yeah.
Take a look at this map. Where are you going to throw that hubcap spinner bait? And what are you throwing? What's the spinner bait in the setup?
If it's a spinner bait, I'm probably going to look for a little more stain.
Okay.
So I'd probably be up the Flint on that. I guess as I'm looking at it, up the east side there is the Flint River. My setup for that, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So you're looking for some more stained water up the Flint River.
Yeah, I'd be looking in areas that are probably not in those little backwater chutes, but not far from them. Something that has a little bit of current. Just from my experience on the Mississippi, a lot of times those fish they'll just stage right at the mouth of those little backwaters, and they like some current. They're not going to sit right in the heaviest stuff, but if you can find a little flow, that's not bad. And then For the spinnerbait, if we're talking hubcap, I'm either number 5 or number 6 Colorado on I like just a straight white with a gold blade. It's just a confidence deal for me.
I like it.
Straight white with gold is juice.
Yeah.
Golly. I don't care if it's a double willow too. Straight white and gold.
Yeah. So I don't know, that for me, gold blades and straight white skirt is a big confidence deal for me in the springtime. And
nice.
So that'd be my color combos and size blades, I guess.
What's the head size you go to on? Is it like a 3/4 then with the 5 or 6, Bobby?
Probably a half, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. And are you throwing that on some beefy tackle?
I just like a 7-foot medium heavy type. Probably 17 fluoro, something like that.
Okay. You could throw 20.
I could throw 20. If we're throwing it pretty shallow.
That's what Hackney would say. You could throw 20. You could throw 20, Bobby.
I'd say if I was up in the dirt, I'd be throwing 20. That 17 kind of lets you get it and roll it a little deeper, I think.
It's a nice flux point. Definitely. Yeah. Pat, I'm sure you've heard when they're talking about that type of spinnerbait fishing of the term fading a spinnerbait. Haven't you heard of that, Patty?
Baiting or fading?
Fading. F-A-D-I-N-G. Fading the spinnerbait. And that's yeah, you got it. That's kind of like how Christy does it, like you've seen the old legend Hank
Let
Parker
it pendulum down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know that's what the term was called.
Well, Hank Parker originated that term, and it's called fading a spinnerbait.
Feathering?
Yeah, no, fading.
Same thing?
Yeah,
no?
Feathering's a similar, and also stitching for salmon.
Stitching.
Yes. Okay. But but no, so like, for example, Hank Parker would describe it as you have a lay down, right? And you find yourself a lay down, and you cast up at that lay down, and now you're fading that spinnerbait through that lay down until it's out of sight, and it fades out of sight. And Hank Parker would always say that the bites come usually as soon as that spinnerbait fades out of sight.
100%. No, I 100% agree with that. No doubt. As soon as you drop it down, I didn't know that was called fading. I mean, I would just, like you said, you'd feather it over that limb, and then I guess you would just fade it down through there, and then you just slowly turn that reel, and it just cuts your line.
Well, I imagine, you didn't know it's called fading. You probably didn't know that flipping is called doodle socking. We still refer to it as doodle.
I just call it poking and hoping.
You're poking and hoping. That's what I used to do in college. You know what I mean? But hey, I mean, big bladed spinnerbaits, man, usually equate to big bites.
No doubt.
Big bites, dude. And are you throwing those spinnerbaits on some heavy gear, Patty, when you're doing that stuff?
Yeah, I'm throwing it on a 7-4. It's actually a Tatula bass rod. It's the spinnerbait, chatterbait rod. Pete knows that rod really well. Probably. It's a great rod. It's a heavy action rod, more of a glass rod though.
Yeah, it is.
20-pound line, 8-to-1 gear ratio, and I'm fishing it slow, but I'm going to be able to catch up with him when he bites it, because when he bites it, he's going to come from behind that thing, and your line is just going to get cut. Like you're just, boom, 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 and it's nothing, and you don't know what happened, and then you just sit and you got him. I mean, it's just, and you just need to tighten that line.
Are you excited, Ryan? I know you're excited about that. Yeah, Ryan,
you just feel that. Boom,
yeah.
Boom, 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 and it's just, oh God.
You throwing trailers on these big bladed spinnerbaits?
I was literally going to ask that, Pat. Thanks for asking that.
I do throw trailers on all my spinnerbaits, mainly for weight and to get it down there. If I'm throwing a big spinnerbait like that, I like a paddle tail swim bait. A Kitech style kind of bait, something like that, a swim bait, because it helps get that bait deeper and it gives it a profile. I want a big profile, and also I think I dubbed this term up a couple years ago with Wired to Fish one time. It's the same reason why I throw a horny toad on a buzzbait. I call it suction surface. It's the weirdest thing. But if you have a spinnerbait, I got a jig right here.
Okay.
But if you have a jig and it's just got a skirt on there, just like if this was say it was a spinnerbait, if that bass they feed by inhaling. So what they do is they come from behind it and they inhale it. But see, there's no suction surface here. All he's inhaling is this skirt and this hook. But if I put a chunk on here, like say if it was a spinnerbait, it would be a big swim bait. He's got something he can suction onto, and it sucks it into his mouth more, and I think you get a better hookup ratio. That's why when I think you throw a buzz bait and you have a horny toad on there, he inhales it. Your hookup's way better. He's inhaling something into his mouth. Where if it's just a skirt and you're reeling that buzz bait and you're missing it and stuff, he doesn't have anything he can suction onto. I call it
interesting. And what do you call it? Suction service?
Suction service.
Suction service. That's a Craigslist ad, I think.
Yeah. I randomly came up with that a long time ago, but it's just something that
really
it gives them, just allows them to he's just slow roll the spinnerbait.
1-800 suction.
You don't know what that line's gonna reach.
That was seriously dynamite stuff.
Yeah, really amazing bit of info, dude. Because
it is.
I mean, I'll be honest. Sometimes I find myself just being lazy and not putting a trailer on necessarily, but that gives incentive.
Yeah.
If you watch fish feed, if you watch slow motion videos and stuff, like you watch those people in those ponds feed, I mean, they just come up and they inhale those dead shad and stuff like that. And you just, I mean, it's nature. Everything's like, you just kind of got to pay attention to everything. And just, if you think about it, if you got a spinnerbait or something on there, there's nothing for him to grab. It's a piece of lead and a hook and some skirt. There's nothing. There's no resistance there. So it's just like a vacuum. But like if you have something there, a vacuum, it's gonna grab. Like if it was jig skirt, it wouldn't really suck up into the vacuum. But if it was a sock or something, it's gonna just get stuck.
Right in the tail pop.
Do you have a trademark on suction service? Is that trademarked?
Yeah.
No,
I should probably get it. I mean,
you know how the In Fisherman had fish location presentation system? You got to have Pat Walter's suction service.
I'm pretty sure you guys brought me to a bar in Chicago called that when I was in Chicago.
Suction service. That was Ryan. That was Ryan when he was in a cover band, I believe. That was
the name of the band. Yeah.
Hey, Bob Downey, suction service aside, let's get real about this.
Surface, like a surface area.
Oh, surface. I thought you were saying service.
No, it wasn't a service. Like a service.
This changes everything.
Surface. That's that southern slang. No, surface space.
Suction surface.
Suction surface. Yeah.
Yes.
The more surface space to suction. Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah. Not service.
Pat Walter suction surface. Let's
Yeah.
clarify that for the records and the folks at home.
Oh my God, the service calls. You're right.
That's okay. This just in, the word is surface. Not surface. Bob Downey, like, let's get real right now. More fish, and tell me if I'm wrong about this. I believe that more fish in the history of bass fishing have been caught in cold water on a good old jig and pig than anything else. Am I wrong, Pat? Am I wrong, Bob?
I don't think so. I mean
the jig
crankbait might be close, but I think the jig and pig probably takes it there.
Yeah, and I mean,
you're talking actual pig, like actual pork.
No, I mean just any trailer, a jig and a jig, yeah, like Pete's got there, or or
big salty baby.
Yeah, look at that. Look at Pat, and I got
Jig
this
and chunk.
I got a good old meaty chunker right there, good old original. Ryan, your tightrope jig right there is one of the most amazing cold water smallmouth lures that there is. That
Largemouth too.
Largemouth too, yes. But I'll beg him a pardon. But jigs in general catch fish in cold water. Why, Bob? Why? What is it?
I don't know if it's just the pace that you got to work that thing. Like it just forces you to slow down. And up here in Minnesota, that's a big deal in the fall for largemouth. I mean, the jig is about as good as it gets come mid-October on for largemouth. I mean, there's some jerkbait stuff and hardbait stuff that goes on too, but I think it just forces you to slow down, and it's a big meal. And I don't know, they're craw eaters, they're bluegill eaters, and that's what that thing imitates.
And even in Patty, where you are in the Carolinas in the winter, I mean, look at Alton Jones's classic he won. You know, we call 100%. That Alton Jonesing when you're
on a mop jig.
Yeah, mopping it up. I mean,
But it's just something. A jig is so universal. Like you can swim it, you can drag it, you can flip it. Like so, you're going down the bank and you're like flipping isolated wood, and then you throw it out on a point and you drag it. But it's just a big profile. You're just moving it slow, and it's just fish just can't stay in a jig.
Wasn't
especially
your
in the
PB
wintertime.
on a jig on a in the cold water, Patrick?
It was
stamp
actually
you on
my
your
PB's
wall?
on a Tokyo rig. One of them was on a jig. It was a 10-3. That was actually in May flipping a jig.
Oh, was it?
I caught my biggest one actually on a Tokyo rig, an 11-28.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, flipping pads in Florida.
All right, different.
Swear to you.
That's what you call a wrist herder when you set into that one.
Oh yeah.
I got a question returning to the trailers for all of you guys.
Yeah.
At what point, now we're talking the jig and pig, the chunk.
Sure.
At what point of temperature wise do you start throwing one that moves a little more?
Good call.
For me, it's like after the spawn type is
After.
kind of like post spawn on is when I'm throwing one with more kick in action. And then basically, I guess up here, it's, you know, for us, we don't really fish through the wintertime, but, you know, that pre-spawn period in the South, I suppose you say maybe from January through the spawn, you're throwing more something with less movement to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the way up to the spawn then. No action.
For me, I think you get real close to the spawn, like that.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Hey, look at Pat was biting.
Like that late pre-spawn is where you maybe start wanting a little more movement to it.
For me up here, it's always been no action when the water's like a steady or falling temp. And as soon as it starts like kind of really going up, then I'll put on a trailer that kicks a lot more. Or if it's falling, you know, as soon as the fall comes and it's falling again, I start reducing the action and then it's going up. So it really, to me, I don't pay attention to the number as much as I do if I got a trend of like a cold week and dead temps and nothing's happening, then I'll stick with the lower action.
So the activity of the fish dictates.
100%. That's why if the fish are in like a wintering state, like I like not much of an action, but as soon as they get pre-spawn, and it's like, when I mean pre-spawn, like the week they're going to spawn, like Bob was saying, like they're like just finally getting ready and you get that warm temperature moving up, they are aggressive as all get out. That's when they're eating the spinnerbait and chatterbait. That's when I'll switch to more of a crawl style trailer, something moving. During the spawn, I'm still throwing a crawl. Post spawn, a little bit, still throwing a crawl. But as they get beat up and they get like, they need to kind of relax, especially in the hotter months, I'll go back to the chunk actually.
Really? In the summer months?
Yeah, I like it. And I agree. I kind of had success doing the same thing this year. And I like how you said after they get beat up a little bit. How did you put it, Pat? You have to make them agree to something else.
You got to finesse them. You got to talk dirty to them. I mean,
you got to give them the suction. Basically what it comes down to. What's your go-to jig, Pat?
Man, it varies.
Cold weather.
Cold weather, to tell you the truth, I really like the Terminator Pro Series jig. I mean, it's an all-around good jig. I used to love a Boosa Bug a bunch. That's a great jig. I change a lot. I really like the Terminator jig because I can swim this jig. It's good and streamlined, and it doesn't get hung up much. Like you could throw this thing across three trees in the middle of a dried yard right now, and I can reel it in, and it'll somehow get back to me. And so I like where I could just still swim this jig around wood, and I can flip it in there and get it tight, and then kind of drag it out. So this is my favorite jig right now.
What about you, Bobby? What do you got? What's your favorite? What's your
I mean,
cold weather jig?
early pre-spawn, if they're still offshore, a football jig can be really good if I'm dragging more. So just an all-terrain tackle football jig. And then as they get up shallower, I'll flip an AT jig from all-terrain. And then my buddy Caleb's got a pretty good jig too that I've been flipping a little bit as well. But
okay.
Those would be just your standard, any standard Archie style head around wood, I think is
100%.
Just a good old go.
I think the best jig you can throw, hands down, is the jig that you got confidence in.
Yeah.
You hook them up.
You got confidence in it,
true.
It's going to catch them. I mean, there's a million jig brands out there, and everybody's like, my jig's better than your jig. Without a doubt. I mean, it's just like they're going to rival jigs. And I mean, I've tried 1,000 jigs. There's good jigs, there's bad jigs, but if you got confidence in a jig, it's a deadly jig.
Very good point.
And especially, I think hookup per individual angler is very important in
Yeah,
selecting
and
a
I think
jig.
people have different hook sets too. And
You're right,
different
Pete. That's what I
equipment,
mean.
so-
Like I can
big
smash
time.
them on one jig and hook up,
Yeah.
have a great percentage, but my buddy's not
Yeah.
faring well on it, and same
Yeah.
vice versa.
Yeah,
I've
for
seen
sure.
it happen many times on jigs.
Line,
Yes.
rod, angle,
Everything, all
Height.
that stuff. Yeah.
your height.
Slack line, tight line. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
fi-
true.
5,000,000%. I find that my ratio goes up when I do more of a modified lean on a
Yep.
jig
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
a straight old a southern slap 'em. You know what I mean? I've seen
you
that.
got to tighten up on them.
Yeah, the old,
Apply
the old-
pressure.
The old outside the bus station lean.
yeah, you know, solo. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I think we would be amiss if we did not mention a bait that Pat Walters is very fond of, and that's the old jerk bait.
The jerk plug.
The old jerk plug.
Jerk
I mean, look at
plug.
that. Look at that. Pat, you've caught over 100 fish in your career.
And that only works in cold water, right, Pat?
Only cold water.
Only
Only cold water.
and Bob, I know you're no stranger to catching big satchels of fish in cold water scenarios on a jerk bait. It's just something about that jerk bait that gets bit. I mean, and Pat, where you come from, before your time, Pat, I mean, way back, they were waiting rogues and
Bomber long A's, all kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just to get with suspend dots or wrapping wire on the
You know how many suspend dots it takes to suspend one of those baits?
Yeah, a lot.
It's a lot.
Suspend dots. No,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Quarter ounce of solder wire on
yeah,
every hook.
realistically, that's what it was, Ryan. It
Yeah.
was solder wire
It
on
was,
the hooks, and I mean, just think about how horrible that was having to do that back in the day. But guys figured that out, that was getting bites, man. I mean, that's a deal. And then
That's letting the fish do the talking. You know, that's paying attention to what the fish want. Those old timers before you had forward facing sonar and stuff that figured that stuff out. To truly suspend a jerkbait, unbelievable.
dude, yeah, exactly. Like, how were their brains coming up with that stuff, Bob? Like, how were
Stone
they?
pluggers and all that? jazz?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember, Clun used to have a jerk bait. Rick Clun did. Norman made it, and you would fill it with water. It had a plug. So you would put different amounts of water in it to make it suspend.
I used to fill mine with vodka.
Yeah, is that what you did, Ryan? To bring it to the club?
Yeah.
But
Different density.
yeah, but exactly different density, like adding Wesson oil to plugs.
Right.
Have you ever heard of that?
No one's ever done that.
No one ever adds secret oils to plugs. By the way, that's a whole other episode.
Mhm.
But seriously, Pat, how important is a jerk bait to you as an angler, for real?
It's an extremely important tool. I actually don't try to catch them jerking. I try to catch them doing a lot of other things, but it always comes back to that of how versatile it is, because it's a bait that you can elongate your cast if you want to. You can make your cast last 30 minutes if you wanted to. You could sit there and hold it, and you can keep it in the fish's face long enough. But you know, bass have eyes on top of their head, basically. Like, they're always looking up to feed. So it's like you keep that bait in the strike zone. I mean, it's what they like. It's got that action, and bass can't stand it. I mean, I'm worried with how many people are throwing jerk baits that it's eventually they're going to be able to they're not going to want to eat it no more. But as long as they keep eating it, man.
And especially for a guy with prowess at a forward facing sonar, a jerk bait becomes a deadly weapon. And
Absolutely. Well, you can read their actions. You can tell what they like and what they don't like, what makes them, you know, what freaks them out, what gets them excited, and so then you just have to duplicate it. I mean, you're just paying attention to that fish. I mean, it's one-on-one. It kind of becomes an intimate moment, you know. You're gonna make that fish bite.
It's like the ultimate game of cat and mouse, and you're
100%.
able to play it really well with a jerk bait.
hey, Bob, we had Hank Cherry on the show, and he told us one thing that blew my mind once about jerk baits. And so you have your, like, originally you had the 110 pluses, and then just the standard 110. We got this Berkeley Stunna. This is the deep version, and then there's a shallow version. I know Rapala has the same type. What's the new Rapala jerkbait called? I saw
Maverick.
Mavericks. That's what's smashing them on that thing. So what a deep build jerkbait actually runs shallower, Bob? Is that true? Do you agree with that?
I don't know that it runs shallower, but you can maybe work it through shallow cover better than a shallow build jerkbait. It kind of acts more like a square bill. I think that long bill kind of guards it better.
Okay.
I don't know that it works shallower, but it may work through cover better.
I am telling you,
I don't mean to cut you off, but I've thrown the longer bills and the shorter bills. I noticed that as you work a longer build jerkbait more erratic, it'll keep it shallower. Like if you work it more aggressively, it tends to dart up into the side more.
Okay.
You can keep it at a shallower depth.
Patty, what's your view? What's your view on this, Patty?
That
Don't
could
lie,
also be
Patrick.
just
Tell
that
the
bait.
truth.
That could just not be that bait being tuned.
That's true.
For a lot of things. Certain baits like speed. Certain baits do like speed. Bob hit the nail on the head. The deep bill does help with cover because it has more of a nose down profile, and so it hits cover and it's kind of coming over top. Where a shallow bill is coming more flatter, and it's going to roll over cover and it's going to snag on cover every single time. So, a deeper build jerkbait will get deeper. But you can work it shallower through thicker cover because it just is more nose down because it's the way it's pulling, and so it helps deflect and bounce off a cover where the shallow bill rolls. And it also depends on how it's jerked. The deep stunner, I'm not a fan of. I don't know what happened to that thing. The shallow stunner does actually work really good. That's a great plug, and it gets 6 to 8 foot. It's a slow sinking almost. It does get deep. If there's a jerkbait on the market, I have bought it and tried it, hands down.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Hank said. He said he can actually get the shallow stunner deeper than the deep stunner.
Yeah, I do my deep ones in the trash.
Yeah.
I was like, those are
But the shallow one will catch him. And I mean, is there a shining star out of that mega bass line, guys? I mean, is the 110 more of a fish catcher than the 110 plus, or vice versa?
Plus one's done it more for me. Yeah, plus one's mine.
Yeah, I like the plus one. I mean, for me, I throw different jerk baits, cold water versus warm water, and that mega bass for me is more the cold water deal.
Yeah.
And then if I'm wanting to really rip a jerk bait and like work it fast, I'm typically not throwing that mega bass. So
yeah.
So I'm usually, colder water generally means a plus one for me.
Yeah.
There seems to be two schools of thought as well when it comes to tackle on jerk baits. And so you have you have first off, you have like the Kevin Van Dam principle where he likes Van Dam's using more of almost a spinnerbait rod for his jerk baits.
Yeah.
And then you have like your traditional, like you guys have, like I think Seth has one in the Daiwa line. It's like a medium light.
Yeah.
Now at
that thing's a light, extra light.
Yeah. It is.
Well, I'll tell you what, Fighter likes your jerkbait rod as a spinnerbait rod, Pat. So what does that tell you? You know what I mean? So that
means Kevin Van Dam would throw it.
Yeah.
That works for you. Said Kevin likes a spinnerbait rod, so that's good with me.
I mean, pretty much that's kind of how it was. If you think about the quantum spinnerbait rods that Kevin Van Dam was designing, and now the loose ones, they all have that little bit of stiffer tip to them.
Yep.
To move the jerk bait more is the principle. Do you agree with that, Pat?
I do. Each rod has its own purpose. Like each plug, just like Bob was saying, each plug has its own job basically. That's why I look at jerk baits. They're tools. They're like, this is a 10 millimeter wrench. This is 11 millimeter. This is a 7/16. We're switching systems, and so it's like different actions for different temperatures, or cover, or grass. You know what I'm saying? And depths. And so it's like I like a little bit heavier rod, more like that spinnerbait rod if I'm in grass. And I throw a jerkbait typically starting out on 12 to 14 pound line, and I'll go up to 20.
Oh wow!
I seldomly go down to 10. I will do 10. I've gone lighter, but 12's like usually where I stop, unless I'm throwing like really small jerk baits, and then I'll go to 10. But I jerk a lot on 14 and 17 pound line. And that's where I'd like to. That's where I want to throw the heavier rod, and I want to drive hooks, and I want to bring them in. I don't want that fish to fight much, and it also depends on the cover I'm around and what I'm trying to do. I can control that fish a little bit more.
Right.
So rods vary. Like I do throw Seth's rod, the 6.9 light, medium light, when I'm throwing like super small hooks, and that's when I'm throwing 10-pound, and it's like you're barely twitching it, like when I'm just touching it, and I don't really want to move that bait too much. But when I'm covered in water and I'm ripping it like on a smallmouth flat or something, and I mean, I'm like, this is what it looks like out there. You just somebody's watching you, and they're like, that guy's he's crazy. Yes, and you're just driving them.
I mean, for me, when you're talking rod actions for a jerkbait, like I'm always thinking about the hooks.
Yeah.
Like, if those hooks are strong enough to handle the rod I'm pulling on them with. Like, is that, am I wrong?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty much what Patty just said. Yeah.
Well, right. Well, you're talking pulling them away from cover, but I mean,
I'll throw number 4 sometimes.
You change your hooks a lot? Like
I do. I change my hooks. Like if I'm in a tournament and I'm plugging, I've changed my hooks 5 times in one day on that one plug.
Okay.
Like I'll catch a couple fish, and if I see one bend out, I'm changing all 3. Like
it's
I'm
just like Van Dam.
Okay.
I mean, it's just I want them to be as sharp as possible and as strong as possible. But when they touch skin, I want it going to the bone, and I want to stay in the bone. I want to continue driving.
Well,
so that's why you got to throw strong hooks. You got to throw sharp hooks.
But then I'm sorry if I missed it, but what I was getting at was, are you using different rods for different hooks? Like
that's what I was talking about. If I'm throwing like little small hooks, what I mean by like honestly 7s to 8 size style hooks is when I'll go to like Cess rod, which is like a medium light action rod with a lot of bend to it.
Yeah.
And then when I'm throwing 6s, I actually have 2 jerkbait rods with Daiwa now. One's an AGS rod, and it's got a lot more tip. That's when I'm like, that's my 110 rod. That's my 110 plus 1, because it's got more of a bend to it and it loads. And so that's more of like my number 6 hooks kind of jerkbait rod. And then my other one's a normal guide rod. It's a little bit stiffer. It's got a painted blank, so it's like it doesn't have as much bend. And that's the one that probably Seth throws the spinnerbait on, and that's where I'm throwing 5s and 4s and stuff, bigger hooks, bigger plugs. That kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Sorry if I made you answer that twice.
No, it's a great point, Ryan. Today at Omnia, we shot a video. Our customers that asked us to do like a rod bending contest for jerkbait rods. And our 3 most popular jerkbait rods, it was a combination of sales and fishing reports were Seth's jerkbait rod, and obviously that's because of Seth's prominence with us. It was a Shimano Experide medium, moderate action, moderate fast, and then it was the St. Croix Victory, which was a 6/8 medium extra fast rod. So I bend all 3 on our board there at the shop on the video. All 3 are completely different, but you could see, and I remember, obviously I could cheat. I was with Seth when he was designing that jerkbait rod. That was early on in his career, and jerkbait fishing was such a cold water finesse thing. Light wire hooks, the out barb style hooks, really light wire stuff, and it was all about just getting him in the boat. It wasn't 100%. Even about imparting the action or staring at the jerkbait. This is pre-forward facing sonar. It was just strictly landing percentage. And I think to Patrick nailed the point. That's a rod for I'm using really light wire, small little hooks. I need to get that fish in the boat, and I'm not worried so much about imparting action on a big jerkbait really fast or doing anything to make the fish bite. That's where, like the St. Croix one with an extra fast tip, I could make a big Edo shiner or what's the big megabass on the Katana or the Kanata or any of the bigger jerkbaits, really smack around with that thing. Patrick's jerkbait rods I like a lot more. It's more my style because I don't have to use my entire arm to get action out of the bait, where Seth's is like you're swinging that thing to get it.
Yeah, by the time that rod loads, it's like it's full bend.
It's aggressive.
Yeah, for sure. But I will say the landing percentage on Seth's rod with those light wire hooks. You hear so many people whine about the hooks that come on a lot of jerk baits. Yeah. If you don't want to switch hooks out, it's Seth's rod all day long, and I mean that. If you don't want to switch your hooks out, Seth's rod. If you're a hardcore jerkbaiter fishing a jerkbait out of the cold water season, and you go to heavier, better, I shouldn't say better, but you know what I mean, heavier power hooks at all, or bigger size hooks. That's where Patrick's rods come in big time. Like you need to up your rod power to that. Yeah.
Pete, I like that you brought up that 6/8 St. Croix.
The Victory
extra fast. Bob, that's a classic St. Croix action. I mean, everybody in the Midwest or in the North knows that 6/8 extra fast St. Croix.
Yeah, that's what I throw I throw the Legend tournament, and it's 6/8 medium extra fast similar to that Victory, and I throw that in more your cold water, kind of like very similar to what Patrick was saying. Like if you're throwing those size 6 hooks or a light wire 5 or something like that in that cold water period, you generally want a softer rod. And then when I get into those warmer water periods, very much like what Patrick's doing, Patrick has shown me a lot about that warm water period jerkbait time. And I bump up to a 610 medium extra fast in the Legend series, which is a stiffer blank. Allows me to really rip that bait. And then I'm dealing with heavier gauge hooks too. So I'm not as concerned about bending out those hooks, but there's definitely seems to be a cold water rod that you need for jerk baiting, and then more of a warm water jerk bait rod for sure.
Interesting. So not one does it all, of course. Now we got to go buy a bunch of them. I mean,
you could do it with one, but
no, you can't. You just learned you can't.
Nope.
What are you talking about?
Nope.
You got to have a bunch of them. Suction surface. If you want to increase your suction surface, you got to have a couple rods. You know what I mean?
love that.
Hey, guys, I had a good time tonight learning about cold water bassin. I mean, we geeked out, evidently. Obviously, we went a little nuts on some cold water fishing. I mean, we could go on forever. Is there anything, Bob, that I left out that maybe we should add in before we go?
Gosh, I don't think so. I mean,
we even got sleeper baits. I mean, we talked
got
about
sleepers.
Like
one little trick that a lot of people know, but I'll maybe just show it, is doing that on your
wait,
shad wrap.
slow down. What is that? Okay, that's a shad wrap, and then you have a suspend dot direct. Oh, on this. Look at you. So the suspend op is directly under
the bill.
Yeah. And then this is a slightly heavier gauge. This is a hybrid treble from VMC. So that thing, like, you're working it slow, but you can pause that thing and it'll just kind of hang. And it acts like a jerk bait, but it still has, your.
So you took the
nose down. A little bit.
Yeah, it noses down. Yeah, but it gets it down there. You can crawl it along the bottom, and then you can pause it and kind of do the slow pulls with it too, and it just hangs. It's much like a jerk bait, but it suspends nicely with a little bit
properly.
Is that just one dot, and then
that's one dot, and then I think I know it's a VMC hybrid treble on the front.
Okay.
It looks oversized. It's oversized as well compared to the back hook, or are they the same? It's hard to tell on the camera.
Those actually are the same.
Okay, one's just hanging a little lower on the.
Yeah, but they're slightly heavier gauge hooks.
Interesting.
Not terrible, but it's a little heavier than what comes stock on it, and that just helps it suspend a little bit more.
I like it.
Bait caster or spinning rod, Bob?
Ooh, that one I throw on a spinning rod.
Really? Even with all
the
that
7
weight?
or the 5?
This is actually the 6, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. But
what spinning rod do you throw that on?
What rod?
Yeah.
The 7.3 medium light extra fast.
Okay. I did that rod today too. Really. Straight, just braiding a leader?
I actually throw it on fluorocarbon. Yeah. It's the one bait on a spinning rod I'm still throwing straight fluorocarbon.
That's cool. That's cool.
But it's not, we don't run into it a lot. Like I ran into it in like Knoxville in Tennessee a couple of years ago, and then the Classic. Maybe we will in Texas this year, but I kind of doubt it. So we'll see.
A little sneak from Bob Downey. Hey, Patty, what do you got? You got to top that sneak. That's a good one.
That's a good one. I wouldn't really.
No, you're on the spot. That's what this is.
Yeah, I am on the spot.
You already gave us.
I agree with Bob 100% on the suspend dot on there, upsizing the trebles on the shad wrap. Shad wrap's lethal because that allows you to help cast it and suspend it a little bit.
Give us a jerkbait sneak. To us, that
Okay.
seems your prowess. Give us a sneak that you don't like to talk about.
Not too much of a sneak though.
Yeah, but a super sneaky.
I gave some sneak to Bob one time.
Yeah.
Oh, I see where Bob's going.
No.
Oh, come on.
I'm not gonna go there, Bob. Don't worry about it.
No.
Well, give us the untrue version of that.
No, it's each bait's different. You gotta, man, it's really hard to say. I'll give you one of my best tips with a jerk bait though. I don't know if you can see. Here we go. This is the Maverick. Each jerk bait, the modern jerk baits, they have, the weight transfer system in there.
Yes.
Every time before I cast it, I don't know if you've ever watched me. I do this little roll cast in my hand. I preload. I cock it basically like I'm cocking a gun. I go ahead and send my weight transfer like that when I do that little roll cast, and then I could be sit there aiming that thing and be looking around. When I see my target, I can cast every time, and it's an accurate cast 100% of the time compared to every weight transfer system's different in baits, and sometimes they won't always click or something. And then when you're halfway out, it'll just kind of fishtail off. But if you, go back and you can watch some live footage. I'll be reeling it in. I work my bait, and I reel it in, and I roll it. And a lot of people think I'm probably cleaning the grass off my hooks, but I roll it, and it's muscle memory now. I'm literally preloading that thing, cocking the hammer, and then I'm sending my next cast out there.
That's a great
accurate 100% of the time.
Cool.
Fantastic.
That's
Excellent.
really cool.
Both of you guys, those are sneaks of the
Cool
week
tips.
from Patty Walters and Bob Downey. Amazing. Thanks,
Good
boys.
stuff.
Thanks. Cold water Bassin. I just got the bug. Yeah, I got the bug. Hey, we got to give away some stuff.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here. Now, Polish Pete, you are giving away an Omnia cold water bait and storage pack.
Yeah,
Right?
I got some wrap stacks in from Bob and Patrick's buddy Quinn there, and so
DQ medicine man.
Yeah. So I'm going to give away a little box of one of the wrap stack boxes and a bunch of cold water baits to a lucky listener, and I believe his name is Aaron Coachell.
Aaron Coachell.
Aaron Coachell.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Aaron Coachell. You need to direct message J.R. Ewing, Rock and Show Fantasy.
Yep.
And then he's going to get your information to the good people at Omnia. So thanks for that, Pete. And of course, don't hesitate to download Polish Pete Przepioria's Premium Pro app on the Omnia surface suction. Surface. Right, Pete?
Yep.
Did I nail
Available
it?
for Apple or Android. Go check out our Premium Pro app. I mean, honestly, it's a no-brainer. After your first couple orders, you'll get it back in points just on what you'll save in tackle with your 10% back. So it'll be cool. Come along with us on the ride. We got a lot of cool mapping stuff coming. So.
Awesome. And I enjoyed the stuff that Andy was throwing up there tonight.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
Actually pretty cool. Hey, Bobby, you want to give away some a tin cup whiskey fun box? Because we can text you that name.
I want whiskey.
Well, did you play, Pete? I mean, maybe you won. I don't know.
But...
Andy, can you text it to Bobby? The tin cup whiskey fun box. Hey, Bob and Pat, Ryan and Pete. Ryan and I are going to hang out with Brandon Palaniuk and Matthew Robertson for the
tonight down at the Chicagoland show.
Yeah, they're coming on out to Chicagoland show. We got Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago. We got Marsh Cheese Castle from Wisconsin coming in. We got the pickle guy and all kinds of good stuff and tightrope chicks.
Pickle guy's actually not going to be there this year.
Well, here's a new pickle guy. He's running through the whole thing with a pickle in his mouth.
Maybe
that's the whole thing. Hey, Bob, did you happen to get the text?
Yeah.
And the tin cup whiskey fun box winner is who, Bobby?
The fun box winner is Nick Poland.
Nick Poland.
Congratulations.
Excellent.
Is there any relation to Polish Pete?
Yeah, I mean, everyone that's Polish is related to Pete.
Yeah.
Found that out when we went
some way, some form or fashion.
Oh, Nick Polander. Excuse me.
Oh, Polander.
No relation.
Same thing.
Oh, same thing. Yeah. We were in a bar in South Dakota and every Polish person there knew Pete. So we don't even know how that happened. But anyway, Nick Polander, direct message JR Ewing, Rock and Show Fantasy, and Luke Foley and Tin Cup Whiskey. You're sending you guys out in some fun box of goodness. Hey, Pat, Bobby, Pete, I had a good time tonight. You guys have fun?
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And I'll see you guys. Pete, I'll see you soon. And Pat and Bob, I'll see you over in Tejas.
Oh, there in
Sounds
Texas.
good.
Yeah, I'll see you guys in Tejas for the old kickoff of the Elite Series in less than a month, boys.
Oh,
Less than a
Around
month.
the
You
corner.
better,
Pretty crazy.
I mean, you
Yeah.
better get extra pairs of shoes. It's less than a month away.
I
You know what
can't
mean?
wait. I can't wait.
Dude, I'm so excited for the Elite Series.
I know. Me too.
Ah,
Me too.
I mean, bass fishing fans are hyped up everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's all the off-season shenanigans
Yeah.
that's
It
going
is.
on.
Well, I'm leaving for Japan this weekend, boys. So I'll look for all the scope and stuff I can.
Dang, Pete.
Yeah, I'll look for all the scope and stuff I can, and I'll let you guys know about it
Oh.
right after the first tournament.
Pat and Bob are texting Pete right now, giving him
Yeah,
a
for
wish
real.
list.
We're gonna need the scoop on
I'm going to
that.
need 6 of these, 7 of these, 8 of those, 9 of those, 14 of these, 6 of those. So I want to talk about something before we go real quick though. And Pat, I know you heard about this, and so did Pete, but we won't talk too much. But I hear that your rod sponsor, Pat, has a rod coming out for forward-facing sonars.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to retail at $2,500.
We better find the fish.
Yeah, it does. It's got a forward-facing transducer in it.
It's got
Okay.
perspective mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Fujita designed it, so you know it works. It's got
It
like
works.
7 transducers on it. It's a $2,500 rod, and you catch fish no matter what on it.
Every guide is a
Yeah.
transducer.
Every guide has a transducer.
Yes.
That's correct. Bass Galaxy, give it up for the one and only Pat Walters, Bob Downey, and Polish Pete. Thank you, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
y'all.
Hey, peace.
Yeah,
Have a
thanks,
great
Pat.
night. We'll see you soon. Thanks for playing.
See you, Pat.
Later, guys. Later, Bobby.
Let's get out of here before somebody says Ned rig.
Yeah. Well, I had the sleepers. That was one of the, I was kind of ashamed of myself that was one of the sleepers I had.
You know
I'm
what?
really-
I had like 4 of them, and
Yeah.
none of them were said, and
Yeah.
I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I'm glad that. And this Christie spinnerbait does not have a suction surface
No suction
on it.
surface.
No, I'm going to add some
No.
suction surface to this.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be in business. Hey, Bass Galaxy, it's been a blast.
That's one of the best fishing tips I've ever heard, by the way.
About suction surface?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Never
'Cause-
even thought about that.
Seriously. He's
Yeah.
just saying. Hey,
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you say we sail this thin raft on out of here?
Let's sail it out to Schaumburg.
Let's do it. Hey, Andy, how you doing over there? There it is. Andy.
I'm good.
Hey.
Tell me to quit
Bass,
touching the microphone.
Bass Galaxy, it's been another exciting edition of Straight Cast, the glorified version of a bass fishing talk show. Thank you to White River Knives. White River Knives /Stray. Ryan, you ever fish a Cal Sag Derby?
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the people over at CalSagBass.com. Serving the Chicagoland region for how long now? They've been suction surface in this area?
Over for, well, this will be the 5th season.
5th season.
Yep.
Suction surface in the Chicagoland
Yeah.
area. Thank you, Omnia Fishing, for your contribution to Stray Cat, to the Bass Galaxy.
Full service.
Yeah.
section.
Sims Fishing, every article of clothing that I have on right now, from my socks to my skivvies to my breeches to my shirt to my hoodie,
It's all secondhand Sims.
it's all secondhand Sim stuff I stole from Fighter's house. 100%. Thank you to Bob's Machine Shop, makers of handmade American assembled jack plates. Thank you. Impulse Lithium. That's right. I never skip a beat with my Impulse. Power Pole. We power pole down for pleasure around here. Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey. Thanks for your prize giveaway tonight to the Bass Galaxy. Abu Garcia and Berkeley. Ryan, you know what jerk is spelled backwards?
Credge.
Credge. I'm credging the heck out of the nation right now. Credges are everywhere. People, have you hear me?
I heard
Credge
about that.
is
thing.
everywhere. People, can you feel it? Credge is everywhere. Hey, Crestliner, thank you for keeping us afloat. And of course, Waterland, throwing shade with Stray Cast for the 2nd season in a row. Bass Galaxy, we bid you peace. With peace, we bid you. We are back next week with the one and only legendary Mr. Rick Clun. See then, Bass Galaxy. Have a cool one. And if you're in the Chicagoland area, come and see Maddie and Brandon and Popcorn, and Chauncey, and Jimmy O'Neill, and me, and all kinds of people. Oh, Oliver Energy's there.
Oliver.
The swim bait guy from the YouTubes. He's
Yes.
there. Who else is at the Chicagoland Outdoor Show? The Pickle Guy's not there.
Pickle Guy's
We
not
learned
there.
that there. But Ryan and
Josh
JP
Sokol will be there.
Josh Sokol will be there,
Yeah.
tightrope employee.
Yeah.
That's good. And JP will be there running through the place with a pickle in his mouth.
He'll be there.
Misbehaving.
Yeah.
Hey, this has been an Andrew Ellenberger production. I'm Pat Renwick, and I'm out of here. See you next week with Rick Clun. Peace. See you, Ryan.
Bye.